Peace, peace, peace. Assalamu alaikum, assalamu alaikum. As you know, this is the brother right here. Peace to the comrades. This is Alim, aka Knowledge. You spell it as Alim. Some people say Alim, but the way I was taught, Alim. So pronunciation is Aleem, Alim. All right. So as you can see, before I start, we have the 8 powerful words for the day. Believe in yourself. Believe you can and you will. 2, stay strong. It says dream, believe, and achieve, right? But I'm gonna disregard the dream and say aimers. Alright? Because you have to look at yourself as an aimer. You aim for something, you strategize, you organize, you put about your plan, your contingency plan, and you go about it and get that. So therefore be an aimer opposed to being a dreamer. So aimer, believe, achieve. 3, never give up. A little progress each day adds up to big results. 4, be careful. A grateful heart is a magnet for miracles. 5, work hard. Good things come to those who hustle. Legitimately. Stay humble. Work hard in silence. Let success make the noise. 7, be kind. Kindness make you the most beautiful. 8, keep smiling. Because of your smile, you make life more beautiful. It's also a scientific connection in regards to the brains and neurons, but I only came across that information about 2 times, so I'm not going to touch on that topic, but you can look it up. Now, the next segment we have is the 5 agreements. The 5 agreements. 1, be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction. Hold on. All right. It says, one more. Alright, probably we can see a little better now, right? Cool. Be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of love. Now, number 2, don't take anything personal. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering. Number 3, don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and to express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstanding, sadness, and drama. With just this, one agreement, you can completely transform your life. Number 4, always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. And, wow, hold up. Under any circumstance, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. Number 5, be skeptical and learn to listen. Don't believe yourself or anybody else. Use the power of doubt to question everything you hear. Is it really the truth? Listen to the intent behind words and you will understand the real message. That's the 5 agreements, right? Now, growth mindset. Another mnemonics. If you remember the other video, I manifested what mnemonics means, which is the memorization of words, and an acronym is when you make a word using the first letter of each word, and then acrostics is using mnemonic sentence, which is when you utilize the acronym to make a sentence. For example, please excuse my dear Aunt Annie. That was a formula for algebra. My educated mother just made us nachos. That's the 9 planets. All right, growth mindset. M, I can learn from my mistakes. I can improve by working hard. N, I will never give up. D, I'm determined to get better. S, self-reflection will help me succeed. E, I can overcome challenges with effort. And T, I can train my brain. And right here on this corner, you have discipline, leadership, perseverance. Discipline is a noun. Doing what you know you should do instead of what you want to do. That's discipline. Leadership, a noun. Making others better as a result of your presence and making sure that impact lasts in your absence. And lastly, perseverance, a noun. Steadfastness in doing something despite difficulty or delay in achieving success. All right, now what we're going to do here is back there. So you can hear me better. Hopefully you can hear me clear. So this right here is a card game. This is just a preview of what I'm gonna be selling on Amazon. Some of the things, and perhaps TikTok. I just gotta see how to go about that. But this right here is called Mighty Philosophers, and with this card deck right here, Mighty Philosophers, it's a card game. For example, see this right here? That is Confucius, and then it'll ask you a question. If you found a genie and he gave you one wish, what would it be? To be immortal, right? This one right here, another philosopher, Rene Descartes, right? Of course, it's not the cartoon, but this is the philosopher. And then it'll ask a question, for example, because this is, mind you, Mighty Philosophers. That's the name of this card game, Mighty Philosophers. Then this one be like, do you think all animals have feelings? Yes. They have their own set of emotions. The zoologists been broke that down, like the dolphins and sharks and whales. Those are all warm-blooded animals. With cold-blooded animals, I'm not sure, but perhaps I'm not sure. I know warm-blooded animals they do, but I'm not sure about the cold-blooded animals. Anyway, so boom, go right here, and then let's say this one right here. This is Seneca, right? And they'll be like, if you could be any animal for one day, which would it be and why? I would say, hmm, I would say a eagle. And the reason why I say the eagle is because a eagle lives a long time. It utilizes sight, calculated, but not only that, what's so unique about a eagle, not only that being on top of the game within their realm, but no, it's not but with the eagle, when they get to a certain age, they have a beak, right? And this beak gets big. And at a particular point of their life, they have to make a choice whether to let the beak to continue growing and they might die, or to go through a excruciating pain of taking that beak out, the claws, everything. Because remember, the claws is long as well, so it'll be the claws, it'll be the beak, and after, like, I'm not sure if it's a few weeks or a few months, but once that eagle takes off the not the beak, but just all the claws and whatnot, it comes right back as it's brand new. Same thing with the feathers. It's a whole process. Don't take my word for it. Look it up. You can Google it. Go to the YouTube. You'll find, look up like eagle. What's the process of the eagle when they get old and what they have to do to continue living in regards to their claws, feathers, and you'll see what comes up. So anyway, this card game right here is called Mighty Philosophers. Another card game, right? It's called, like, this right here is called Icebreaker, right? Icebreaker starter pack, all right. And It's like, when you like, any type of social gathering, it don't gotta be like party or anything like that or celebration. It could be any type of social gathering, or even if it's not gathering. Even let's say if you have children and you want to have brain games and make it fun as well, or there's other individuals, let's say cousins or whoever, like there's individuals in the area that in that particular area that don't know each other, then this is the icebreaker. And even if they do know each other, this could still be the icebreaker to stimulate conversations, things of that nature. So this right here is called icebreaker. And let's say, for example, right, it would be like, would you rather always have gas or always have bad breath? Well, if I had a car, I would say always have gas, right? Because if you spend my money on that, you gonna be one. Your breath, not saying could be stinking, but at least you got the gas. All right. So let's see. And this one right here will be like, what's your best scar story, right? My best scar. I don't know if it's a story, but to tell it like a story, I don't even want to call it a best, because a scar is a scar. Ain't no best of a scar. But if one notion is kind of little awkward in regards to the fact that prior to being incarcerated, you know, you have images of, oh, this is the image of, you go through. Although at that time, people get cut. At that time, it was like, all right, stitches get stitches, whatever. But also having a cut was also like a battleground scar. Understand me? So that's how I look at that in regards to the prison razor tag game that was happening in the 90s. It's just battleground scars. But there's no best story about that. Not at all. So let's see, right? So now this right here, like I said, it's called Icebreaker. It has like various different things. If you could pick up a skill instantly, what would it be? Cybersecurity. All skills that needed to be cybersecurity be on the top of the game. Um, yeah, I'll say cybersecurity. Well, matter of fact, no, no, not cybersecurity. If let's be pick one skill, what would it be? The skill of a billionaire, and how to make billions. Because from the billions, I'll be able to get the training to still cybersecurity, and I have money to invest and generate wealth. So yes, I would like to have the skills, that skill set, which they give in regards to discipline, perseverance, and how to study smarter, how to use your time wisely, and how to use other people's money, how to make it appreciate, and there's a variety of different things. But still, I would say that finesse, um, stock market, you know, I would say yeah, skill, like be able to like, yeah, that skill right there, because that skill could get you to the billions as well too. So that's definitely a skill set. Everything else is like values. It's a skill set with values, communication, elegance, mannerisms, etiquette, integrity. So that's that. The other card game, these are all brain games, brain card games. What's good about playing brain games is, one, it enhances your memory set. Two, if there's different type of intelligence, I'm not gonna get into that today. I'll do that in a different video. But these particular exercises, one is recommended to keep your brain muscles strong and make it easier to recollect information. Not only that, keeps you stimulated. But with puzzles or anything with puzzles, anything where you have to connect something and decode those skills right there, you can even utilize those skills to become a coder or get into computer programming, making your own app, making your own. your own devices, however far you would like to take that skill set. Cause it starts from young, and the codes, putting things together, be able to think outside the box, be able to decipher the riddles, you know, even with the paintings, where there's like two things in a painting. All right. Now this right here is called mindful games. This right here is called mindful games, and it'll be like cards and whatnot. And let's say this one right here says, "You are simply awesome." The entire Intercons team would like to thank you for the. All right, no, that's not. That's not part of the game. Okay. All right, mindful practice card. What was that? The objective is to mindfully listen, and then the materials. All right, you have, let's say, all right, this will be paper, pencil, recording device, smartphone. Directions: players sit with eyes closed. The leader records sounds in the room for 30 seconds. Players listen mindfully to sounds around them. Focus on experiencing each vibration. When time is up, players write down as many sounds as they remember hearing. Then play the recording to verify answers. You finish. The player who remembers the most sounds gives away this card and one more. So these like mindful games. Um, right here, train your brain. Objective: to train the mind to stay on one topic. Material: time or any object, paper and pencil. Direction: set the timer. The leader places an object within the player's view. Players are given 2 minutes to write down words related to the object. Example: for a pen, related words might be write, ink, paper, draw, sign. When thinking of new ideas, it is easy for the mind to wander. The trick is to guide your mind back to the track at hand, which is to stay on target. Finish. This player with the most ideas related to the object gets this card and one more way. So this card game once again is called Mindful Games. It's a good brain game. You can have fun, and it's also working out the brain. So it's like what I would call edutainment. Instead of entertainment, it's edutainment. You get educated at the same time while you're being entertained. Um, Now this one right here is called Little Talk. This card game, Little Talk, tool for bigger conversations with children. So I guess, I guess that's what it says. This is for like when you with the youngins, right? And I'll give you an example, like what comes up here. So let's say these are the categories. Like this one right here would be random. This one right here would be hope, dreams, like, dislikes, reflection, self-expression, emotional intelligence. Those are the different categories that they have within this. And then I'll just read one of the cards. It'll be like, Ray, do you most like to eat? And I guess it's just it'll talk. Yeah, it's a tool for bigger conversation with children. So it's to guide them within a conversation. And for example, likes and dislikes. Alright, so there it goes. So on each card, it will show you on the top what's the category. This is likes and dislikes. And then it'll be like, what's your favorite treat? Right? So everything right here that's green is all about likes and dislikes. And then it say the yellow is about hopes and dreams. So for the yellow card, the yellow category, what do you most want to learn? Another one, what do you want to do that you're too scared to try? Little talk, a tool for bigger conversations. Another one, What are you afraid of and why? This is no little kid. No, when you talk to a youngin. All right, and then the red category is self-expression, and it'll be like, how can others tell when you feel excited? That's what you're asking the child, right? This one says, what do you feel really strongly about? Remember, it's about self-expression. So it's helping them and you guiding them, giving them the tools to be able to express themselves. What will you do for show and tell? Things of that nature, right? So that's for the red. And then the other category is emotional intelligence, right? And for emotional intelligence, it's like one of the cards right here. And this will be, how do you feel about asking for help when you need it? This one right here will be, what is one of the nicest things you could say about yourself, right? That's for like emotional intelligence. And then for the category for random, right? That's the last category. I already did the dislikes. I did the hopes and dreams, emotional intelligence, self-expression. So this is the random. For the random, like I guess random questions. If you could change the world, what would you do? Or like, do things mostly go wrong or mostly go right for you? Just like random questions. Pretty cool, right? All right. So that's called Little Talk. Little Talk is a tool for bigger conversations with children. So those will be the four categories that I'll be having. I'll have, it will be the icebreaker, right? A tool for breaking the ice and forging meaningful relationships. And then this one is Little Talk, a tool for bigger conversations with children. The other one I told you about is Mighty Philosophers. And then the lastly is mindfulness game. Mindfulness game. Okay? And that's it. Peace. Assalamu alaikum. Have a blessed one. Oh, wait a minute. Before I cease this, I just want to say this. See, for Noble Young's party, right? We have a thing that says is called leadership and self-criticism. This basically comes from the Marxist Lenin Maoist. Like I told you, I'm still Muslim, but this is where they got that sociological, psychological construct. So, for example, regular means at least once a week, and always start on time. The keeping of non-compromising minutes of every minute. I'm not getting into that. The regular schedule means each comrade begins to internalize the structure of the group as part of the living routines. Through the promptness with every member arrives at the meeting, the unity of everyone starting together is established, right? Through minutes, a group takes responsibility for its program and procedures from week to week. So this is about leadership and self-criticism, the establishment of the structure with which leadership and membership can be developed in a very difficult problem inside the United States. On the one hand, there is a strong tendency in ordinary non-political working people to hold back and wait for direction for those who they may consider to be capable or experienced. So after that, what you can have is it's called democratic centralism, right? We do democratic centralism, and discipline and democracy are both of the principles of the daily practice of a party, not because they have been imposed or because they are guaranteed by statute, but because of deep convictions of each member that these are both necessary to the development of the party, right? And I'm just giving you a brief because I'm not going to read this whole thing. Nah, we're not doing that. Um, Democratic centralism is a principle of organization that can be used by any fractioning group. The democratic part of the term defines the equal participation and voice accepted from all members of the organization. The centralism refers to the mandate that all members uphold all decisions made by the democratic process of the organization. In practical terms, this translates into real participatory democracy within, but with strict discipline expected from all members. Even if one member disagrees with a decision, he or she is expected to uphold the decision externally, while working from within to convince other members that they are wrong. This method of organization is based on the assumption that eventually the majority of the members of a group presented with conflicting views will be able to arrive at the best possible decision. This may be a prolonged process and mistakes may be made, but the democratic element ensures that debate can go on until all members are satisfied. And then just briefly, it says for the Noble Young Lords, right? For the Noble Young Lords Party, the difference between loyalty to a name and loyalty to your people. Webster's dictionary describes a conduit as a channel through which nothing is conveyed, a conduit of information. That is the intention of the Noble Young Lords Party, Latino Nations North America, and its political compendium manual. It states that by the late 90s and early new millennium, many of the lumpen organizations or the street organizations are considered lumpen organizations. All political mass organizations have questioned the sincerity of the organization. Some have made the effort to create serve the people institutions and have succeeded to a certain degree. The Almighty Land King Cree Nation and had obstacles such as internal conflicts and counterintelligence programs, have managed to keep such organizations stagnant. At their best, they are organizations to be respected. At their worst, well, we ain't got to go there. Y'all know what we're talking about. The thing that such organizations lack is a specifically defined political line where all members can compare their practice against it and effectively criticize and self-criticize and better their practice. A long-term and short-term strategy which is collectively agreed upon so that the respective organization can see the beginning and end of their efforts and potentially move on, adapt from their failures and success, and specify tactics that can be practiced, analyzed, and adapted to that is necessary. Some of these organizations have established literature, and considering the alternative of no literature, this is a good thing. If the literature is anti-imperialist, but most of them are clearly not defined enough to avoid negative pro-capitalist interpretations. In fact, many are so backwards that they view communism as a bad thing due to their acceptance of the United States capitalism. So this is political talk. As you know, New York State, we pushing social democracy. And I'm just gonna give you a brief. Let me see what else it says. It says, all right, many organizations, right? All right, here we go. It says the Noble Young Lords Party will serve as the conduit of the streets, prisons, and college student unions, where students stand, and we will revive the spirit of Marist MLM. to a place of reason and acceptance, right? But you have to do it within the confinements of the law of the United States. Yeah, be on point. Many organizations speak of Jews of knowing the ledge, as in knowledge. They claim that the homies need to be loyal to Las Nomas, Kingism, Damuism, Lawism, Folkism, etc., because that is true illuminations. But the true signs of the brown person, black person, red person, Asian person, and even the pale eyes, eventually, in this respect, is that one must be loyal to that group, that organization that serves its people, and that terrifies them. The Noble Youngest Party has been reborn to be difficult, to expose certain street prison codes as anti-wisdom. So let us begin by saying that any organization that claims that you gotta be permanently loyal to an organization just because you enter it and to leave it as betrayal is out of line and out of order. In order to change the oppressive existing order of things, organization is necessary, and those who care about people's future look to join organizations, but let it be made clear for all to understand that if an organization sours and for the most part becomes an oppressor of its own people instead of its supporter, revolutionary leader, and community activist servants, then it is that organization as a whole that has betrayed its membership and the people it serves. It is not the member who leaves such an organization who leaves such an organization who betrays. In fact, it is better to say that the member has been betrayed by his organization and he has every right to leave. This doesn't mean that you should leave at the first sign of trouble either. One must work with all anti-imperialist organizations and struggle with them to help them become better servants of the masses, because the more anti-imperialist organization exists, the better it is for all of us. But all of us has been trying to the revolutionary members, and the backwards current is so strong that the truly revolutionary thing to do is to exit that organization and join a revolutionary organization such as the Noble Youngest Party, which is an organization that is also under the Second Amendment, militia, unorganized militia. Now, the revolution, no, now it says right here. Now, if you are not socialist, but you are anti-imperialist, then you should still join the party, because you can provide revolutionary leadership without forcing socialism down your throat. Even if you don't join the Noble Youngest Party, you should create a cadre leadership in your area that can provide an alternative to whatever backwards organization exists in your area. The Noble Youngest Party will help you, provide you with advice and guidance on how to form a revolutionary organization, community organization in your area, public safety, community patrol. That you don't want to do is quit because you had a bad experience with the former organization. Now, your people deserve more loyalty and strength from you, and we hope that you will have the courage and valor to get up again and help make a revolutionary united front a reality. The revolution doesn't need drugs. No, the revolution doesn't need thugs who claim that bravery is killing your own people. We've been there, done that, and we know that's all tragic bullshit. The people don't need slangers that think that poisoning your people in great amount is a thing to aspire to. Once again, that's all tragic bullshit. If you take the time to analyze the Noble Youngest Party political companion manual, you see that the founders of the Noble Youngest Party are veterans of the thug life of La Villa Loca, but you also find a deeper level of commitment. The Noble Youngest Party has decided to alter history in our favor because we believe we can. We've taken our wrong and right practice, street knowledge, torcida or prison knowledge, revolutionary knowledge, college knowledge, ghetto philosophers, former and present vanguards like the MIM, such as the organization that I'm with, Citizen Action of New York, and combine them to create a better place for everyone. So if the Noble Young Lord speaks to your mind and your heart, then you are a Noble Young Lord. You haven't accepted it yet. The Noble Young Lord is the offspring of the cement of urinated hallways and projects where the man and the woman are created. The Noble Young Lords is composed of sons, daughters, mothers, fathers who dwell in control units, college, dorms, ghettos, anarchists and gothic punk geniuses that rebel because they acknowledge their own lifestyle despite their suburban privilege. That something is sincerely fucked up and hypocritical about the land of the free. And we dare to break the mold of complacency, and the status quo is exchanged for the practice of original thought and action. We seek to improve the social conditions of the third world with the correct thought that all oppression is connected and the source of oppression must be dismantled and reconstructed. Reinvite, mm, reinvite the people to ally yourselves and unite with the Noble Young Lords, because if you're never taking a look at a real organization of the people, you're taking a look at it right now. If you're interested, well, that's not for you. This was something that how I was able to establish the New York State chapter of the Noble Young Lords Party. And real quick, acknowledgement and repudiations. All right, this is the one that founded the Noble Young Lords Party. His name is Bob. I think it's Pablo Pueblo. Like to take some time to give props and credit to all the comrades, allies, and soldiers who contributed to the development in one form or another, and at times unwittingly, of the Noble Young Lords Party, Latino nations, North America, whether they helped directly and or indirectly. The first of these are the Mindless International Movement, because the Noble Young Lords Party and the PCM would not have been possible were it not for their belief in helping the oppressed masses, particularly the Mindless International Movement Central Committee. Now, you have my love and respect. I met MIM during my time in college, and they inspired in me the power of the written word. It was an irony that my first anti-imperialist article was done with an MIM comrade in the early 90s within the great halls of imperialism, an Ivy League school where the sons and daughters of the elite imperialists are trained. Well, this is radical talk. You have all different type of people that's in there. I ain't gonna say people are imperialists. Um, but the system is still an imperialist country. But I'm a student at an Ivy League college, and I'm telling you that I'm not an imperialist, so that's why I gotta check that. No group of people is a monolith, right? You have people from different ideologies, philosophies at a university. Everybody's not on the same bandwagon. So real fast, so he gives shout outs, he tells you how it's coming about, Mindless International Movement. So you can look that up. Mindless International Movement. However, as a Muslim, I still stand my ground because it was because Maoism that, they did China, the Hue people, they did them wrong, you know, but they still standing. The Muslim Chinese brothers are still standing over there. Alhamdulillah. All right, cool. And through visual of videos, I checked that the ancient monasteries and the masjids that they had is like 800 years old. 800-year-old masjid monastery. Another monastery is 1,300 years old. What? See, what happened was real fast. And I think that would take precedent over this, right? Is this. You have to do the math. And the math is this. Is that when they had the golden era, right? You had a golden era, and the golden era was in Andalusia, and at that time it was Islamic Spain from the around approximately 700 to 1492, and 1492 is when King Ferdinand and Queen Isabella got together for the betterment of the church, the Roman Catholic Church, and from that began the process of the reconquest to reconquer Spain and give it back to the Catholic Church, and they was pushing out the Moors and also pushing out the Jews, the Sephardic Jews. The Jews that was in Spain at that time are Sephardic Jews. Um, and the Muslims was Moors. That's where the word Moreno comes from. Moors. The black Muslims that was in Spain, that was in Portugal, and not just Morocco. It's Morocco, Spain, Portugal. Now, after the Golden Era, transatlantic slave trade came about. Islam, before, matter of fact, no. I don't even say it happened like that because due to the fact is that in 1492 is when transatlantic slave trade happened, right? But you have to do the math. You can do your research. But with my understanding, with the information that I have, is that all right? So the Muslims went to China in 651 AD, and it was during the Abbasid Caliphate and during the Ming Dynasty and under the Emperor Nguzu that Islam flourished in China, and when Islam meant the Chinese culture, and that's how what you see standing right now. Um, you just gotta do the math in regards to the numbers. But if you look at to the visuals, it's beautiful. Same way how you have variety of different masjids throughout Africa that's beautiful, that been there for eons. From the time of Mansa Musa, like Timbuktu. That was a university. They had tons of books, tons of wisdom, but certain colonial masters those had that Napoleon view of destroy the wisdom so therefore they could have history. And that's why when the Da Vinci Code came out, they told the world, listen, man, as a student of life and as a traveler, you must go back and find the truth and from the historical distortions. You know? All right, peace. Assalamu alaikum. Have a blessed and productive day. As you can see, it says no guns, just guts. You heard? No guns, just guts. And I work in a juvenile detention. We're not corrections. We work under. We don't even go under that. Just juvenile detention. You heard? Um, so that's what this is right here. No guns, just guts. Care, custody, control, integrity, honor, reliability. Treating them as human beings, but holding them accountable. They are still the future. So yes, they got to be accountable for what they did, but allegedly, mind you, they're not convicted. Allegedly, and give them some jewels and advice with the hopes that they don't come back, because recidivism is also based not just people, places, and things, but your education through statistics shows that the higher your education is, the less the chances of recidivism decreases. So from those that don't have a GED or high school diploma, the recidivism rate is high. From those that have the GED and high school diploma, the recidivism goes down a little bit. And then those that get a college degree, if it's an associates, it decreases a little bit. Bachelor's decreases. When you get your master's, like the recidivism rate is like almost like 2% when it comes to the masters. And then that's just how it is. That's just a statistic. Now, for me, I don't have a degree, but I've been a college student for like we had ups and downs, ups and downs, you know. And but the thing is, I'm still here standing. I'm still moving forward. Had a little few bad grades. When I was at Lehman, if I was still at Lehman, I would have graduated yesterday with my bachelor's in social work in KSAC. No lie, but you know 2018. Yeah, it was well, no, around 2019, I believe. Around 2019, you know, my I couldn't concentrate. I wasn't really focused and organized. I was going through a lot of things, and my grades plummeted. But with the grace of God, with the grace of Allah, I was given an opportunity to get back into the college because I couldn't get the financial aid because I gotta get your grades up in order to get the financial aid. So I had to find a strategy, and I was blessed with a strategy, and that was to go to Columbia University, right, which is justice education, and the School of Labor and Urban Studies. I got to that school initially from a scholarship for being a credible messenger, and I'm still at that school because my union's affiliated with that school. You heard? So no, it's never too late. Look, like they say, it's not about who won fast or who won first. It's as long as you get there, as long as you stay on track. I mean, you have your own lane. It's not good to compare and contrast. It's good to strategize. It's good to take advice like that. And it's also good to make sure that you don't make the same mistake someone else made. That is one thing. All right. Other than that, peace. Have a nice and blessed and productive day. Assalamu alaikum. Jumma Mubarak. Gotta go. Peace.